So hello and welcome to this week's recipe inspiration class. So today we are looking at the TM6 and the TM7. We're going to be doing some nice sweet treats ready for the festive period or the school holidays. If you're watching this on YouTube and watching the recording, please remember to hit subscribe, hit the little bell and it'll notify you next time I upload a video, but also give me a thumbs up at the end of the video if you like it. It also gives me an idea whether what I'm actually putting out there is useful. So today we're going to be doing honeycomb, we're doing shortcrust pastry, we're going to do sweet mincemeat, we're also going to do shortbread. So we've got quite a lot to get through. So I'm going to crack on and get through it so we're not keeping you too long. So the first recipe I'm going to do is the honeycomb. So let me just go to home screen on my my Thermomix. I've actually popped this in for this week, and if I could see my phone, I'd actually just send it to it. I might just do that just for speed. So with your TM7, you can actually send your recipes directly from your Cookie Do app through to your TM7. So if I go into my week and I choose my honeycomb, which I've just chosen on my Cookie Do, and this is where it's not going to give it me, is it? Because it was yesterday when we did a class, it was going to the one on the other side. This one, for some reason, is not connecting. Oh, it's just connected. So let's go. Send to TM7 and fingers crossed. There you go. It appears on screen. Now, I love that feature. I think it's so handy because the amount of times I've spent searching on the Thermomix and haven't quite found what I want. So we'll get started. So here's the recipe. All right, now it uses what we call sugar stages. Now, sugar stages is exclusive to the 6 and the 7. It requires precision, so you have to, I'm try and get out that thing, you have to have your ingredients exact. You can't double it or triple it or reduce it to half. You have to do exactly what it says on the recipe, otherwise it won't turn out properly, but also you can damage the machine because the sugar stages takes it to such a high heat yeah, it's not good. And the other thing to this recipe as well is at the end, and it's part of the recipe, you have to have your water ready to go to clean it so that it doesn't set like concrete, because it does set like concrete. All right, so that's what the first bit's talking about. I know you can't see the screen very well. I am working on it, getting some more cameras so that you can actually see what it says on the screen. So it says line a square baking tin. So I've already lined my baking tray. It's over there. And pop that in. So it says sift 1 tablespoon of bicarb of soda and set aside. So we've already done that. So we've got white sugar, 300 grams. So we've got a sugar here, and this is where we'll see if I've weighed it properly. And if I've weighed it properly, it'll give me a little ding to tell me that it's good. Now I've gone over a little bit. I've gone over by 14 grams, but it's still giving me the green tick of approval, so that means I'm okay. Then we're going to pop in some water. So we're just going to pop in 80 grams of water. I normally weigh this out and I didn't. There we go, 80 grams of water, perfect. Notice I've got my big jug of water ready for when we need to do the clean. And then it says 20 grams of honey. Now I don't measure out this normally because it ends up, I waste so much honey on the side of the bowl that I put it into. So I'm just going to put it in directly. Way. Oh, now then. Gone over by a couple of grams, but hopefully it'll be all right. Next, now it's basically saying caramelize. So we've got that in the bottom. I'll show you what it looks like. So we've got a sugar, a water, and our honey in the bottom of there. And we're just going to pop the lid on, and my top's gone AWOL, but I'll find that in a second so I can see it. And I press play, and so that's going to, for 18 minutes, that's going to cook. All right, so while we're doing the rest of the recipes in the TM6, that's cooking our honeycomb. All right, and when it dings, it will ding on my phone to tell me it's ready. It will literally be ready to go. So we'll just pop a bicarb in, mix it around, pour it out, and we're done. All right, so that's how easy that is. So we're now going to go to our TM6. So on the TM6, it's a little bit different because this class is obviously for all owners. So if you're on a 31 or a 5, your screen will look a little bit different and you do access your recipes a little bit differently. The 31, of course, has no screen. With the 5, your screen is a bit smaller. With your 6, it's a little bit bigger. So we go to the three little lines and we go to my week. And then in my week, I've already planned these recipes in. All right, so I'm going to do the, I'm going to do the, what have I got on here first? I'll do the shortbread first, I think. They're all quite easy recipes of these. They're very quick to do. So shortbread, so I'm going to go start cooking. It says preheat oven to the 160 degrees, which I should have done already and I haven't, so I will do that. Thankfully, 160 is a preset on my oven, so that's nice and easy. Next, grease a round tin. Now, greasing a tin, so what I've done is I've got some baking paper in here. Now, if you wet your baking paper, so wet it, scrunch it up, and pop it back in, it actually molds very easily to the tin. So that keeps it nice and easy. And then it's asking for 100 grams of plain flour. I'm just going to move my... Oh my goodness me. Sorry about this. My cat is trying to get out. Come on. Come on, cat. All right, so let's get this done. So as this is a cooking show, anything can happen. You can have a cat jumping up, a dog barking, somebody screaming at the door. All right, so we're going to always remember when you put ingredients in to tear it. Now, the other thing to remember as well is to make sure that your wire, if your wire is behind the Thermomix, but it's touching the back of the Thermomix and it's touching the wall, tend to pull it away a little bit because if you touch the wire, it will take your scales out. So if I touch this wire, it actually goes out by 50 grams. All right. So I've got to be careful not to touch the wire when I'm weighing things in, but I've pre-weighed these, so I know we're good to go. All right. So we've got 100 grams of plain flour. Put that in. Next, I've got 50 grams of rice flour. Now you can make rice flour in your Thermomix. All you need to do is put some rice in and grind it on speed 10, or even better, find the chop function and do it that way. There is a function on there for milling all your grains. We've got 50 grams of caster sugar. Perfect. And 100 grams of butter, which I've put in the fridge because it needs to be cold. No, that's the Doing lots of butter tonight, so I have to make sure I got the right one. So this is our, oops, let's get that in here. There we go, 100. So you want it to be cold so that it makes a good, it mixes well. Same with the pastry. All right, so insert measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. Pop that on. We go next, and we go to 10 seconds on speed 6. You just turn it down. There we go. Next. Insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid, which we already have. And then we're going to do 20 seconds on the dough mold. So I'll show you what this looks like. All right, so we've got the basic breadcrumbs at the minute. And we're going to go turn the dial and it's going to do the dough. So the dough mechanism stops and starts. And so while it agitates that, it's going to, some of that butter will start to melt and it should start to combine and come together a bit more like a dough. It will be crumbly still at the end of it. And then we just pop it all together. And I have made this a few times and it's usually pretty good. So next. So this is transfer into the prepared cake tin. So I'll have a little look. Yeah. So it is very much, as I said, like breadcrumbs. So I'm just going to move this around a little bit. Now, if you like me and don't like the big spatulas, these little spatulas off the mix shop are amazing. So we've got very much a crumbly mixture. I'm just going to grab the tray and it says transfer cake into prepared tin. So we're just going to pop it in like that. That's it. A bit of butter stuck on there. Thank you very much. Pop that out. Now then. So then it says press down firmly. So all we're going to do is just push it around the edges. So it goes right into the edges. Like so. and you're just pushing it down. A bit like if you're going to make a cheesecake and you're going to pop your base, you're doing your biscuit base. This is the same method. All right, so we're just popping a shortbread in there like that. I'm trying to get it flat. And just using the back of the spoon, I'm just moving it around to get it as flat as I can. And it's not going to be perfect. So smooth surface, it says dust with additional caster sugar. So I'm going to pop a little bit of caster sugar on the top, and then I'm going to pop that in the oven. And it says bake for 30 to 40 minutes at 160 degrees. And that's how easy it is. I just put a little bit of sugar on top. Like that, and then we'll just pop that in the oven for 30. I'm going to put the timer on for 30 minutes. So we'll pop a timer on. Now, if you're on your TM7, your timer is from the top, so it's called the cooking center. So if you pull it down, there is a timer up here. All right, and so the timer we've got minutes, so we'll go with 30. Oh, I actually set it for 30 seconds instead of 30 minutes. All good. All right, so that's 30 minutes. That's going. All right, and we're going to go next. All right, and so it says allow to cool slightly and then knife it into portions. So we're going to go next. And transfer to a wire rack to cool. And if desired, dust again with additional caster sugar, because everybody loves a bit of sugar on the biscuits, right? Okay, so let's grab a clean bowl and we'll go on to our next recipe. So this recipe we will do is, in fact, yeah, no, we'll use this one. It'll be fun. Okay. Now, there won't be a TM7 second bowl available, but there will be at some point next year. So you will be able to get one then. Let's go to our next recipe. And there's also a mix shop sale on at the moment as well, just for those that are interested in some additional kitchen accessories. It's just started today. It says the Boxing Day sale. I was like, Boxing Day? We haven't got to Christmas Day yet. All right, so then we're going to go on to our next recipe. So our next recipe is mincemeat. All right, so ooh, where are we? Here we go. So sweet mincemeat, I've always bought it in a jar. So this year I thought, why not make our own? I had some leftover dried fruit in the cupboard. So it says set aside sterilized jars. Now you can sterilize your jar on the top of the Thermomix. All right, so if you want to sterilize your jar, you can use your simmering basket. You would just pop this on the top while this is, in fact, this is got 12 minutes to go. I might actually do that. Actually, well, no, I won't. Actually, I won't. But all you need to do is pop your lid on, 500 mils of water in the bottom, pop that on the top like so, and then have your jar upside down in here. And you can do your sterilising. I do it all the time. Great for babies' bottles as well, using the Varoma. You can use a Varoma when you want to sterilise babies' bottles as well. So we'll go next, and we've got 60 grams of dark sugar. So I'll just go grab all my ingredients. There's quite a lot of ingredients for this one. As you can see, here's the ones I prepared earlier. All right, so we've got our dark sugar. So we'll pop our dark sugar in. Next, and then we've got half a lemon peel and we've got half an orange peel as well. Now, when you're doing your peel, if you use a really good peeler and you just get the peel and not the white pith, you'll have a really good effect. So we've got half a orange peel, half a lemon peel, and then it wants to insert the mixing bowl lid. So what it's going to do now is it's actually going to make it into a bit like icing sugar, but because it's brown thin, it won't be as good, in my opinion. Okay, so it says scrape down the sides, so we'll do that. Let's have a look. Let's have a little look. Ooh, yum. Now look at that. That really does smell delicious, I will tell you. It is amazing. So your spatula on your TM7, which is what I'm using at the moment, even though it's a TM6, looks a little bit different. It's got it's a much longer spatula. I'm not a very clean cook, by the way, so it goes everywhere when I cook. Anything could happen in my kitchen. Next. All right, so we've got 100 grams of unsalted butter. Did it tell you? No, that's pastry. All right, so pop our butter in. Okay. Butter done. Next, we've got 100 grams of apples, so peeled apples. So just peel and cored, pop them in. Next, 30 grams of lemon juice. There we go, waste that in as well. And then we've got 30 grams of orange juice. So it does go back to 0 each time, so that you can, you don't need to tear it, but just be careful if you've taken the lid off, you will need to tear it because it will include them. It'll say go into the minus for the lid. All right, so we're inserting the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid, which is already in. And we're going to go next, and then we're going to do 4 seconds on speed 5. It's going to just... Next, oh, that honeycomb's already smelling good. Next. All right, scrape down the sides of the mixing bowl. So again, I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, we're already getting juice. It's good from the apples. So you can see it's all combining there beautifully. All right. That back in. So we'll go next. 130 grams. Now, this next bit is all about the fruit. So I'll talk you through it because I've got it all combined. So 130 grams of currants, 130 grams of sultanas, 130 grams of raisins, and 2.5 teaspoons of mixed spice. So I've got all of that here. Now, I actually had a partial bag of mixed fruit left over that I wanted to use up. So that worked perfectly. And there was the perfect amount. And that's my 2.5 teaspoon of spices. And then it says place the simmering basket onto the lid, which I'll use the TM7 one. The TM7 one's just black. It's the main difference, really. If you've got an old TM31, you wouldn't necessarily have a lid like this as well. So they have lids on now. So we're now going to do 5 minutes on reverse. How long have we got on here? We've got 7 minutes on here. All right, so let's talk through a couple of things in the meantime while we have a bit of cooking time. A bit of this. So on last night's class, I'll show you actually, because I've been eating a little bit of it. So we made some pizza bianca. So this was the pizza bianca that we made. It's a beautiful, a bit like a focaccia. And then we made the capsicum and sun-dried tomato dipped along the top. Highly recommend that as a dip. It is beautiful. Spreads lovely on the bread. Also great on crackers. Good to dip a carrot into. Great if you go into a barbecue or around someone's house. I like to take some dips with me. They work really well. These are little IKEA pots. I find these IKEA pots are perfect with a little lid on to keep them fresh. And then the other things that are really handy to have when you've got a Thermomix are these mats. So this is the bread making mat. So I was going to use it when we do the dough, which is next when I do the pastry. But I use these a lot for proving bread. So when you're making your bread doughs, you pop your dough out onto your mat, make it into a nice ball, and then just wrap it up like a present. And then I usually put it somewhere to prove. So I like to put mine in the microwave. The microwave is a closed space, so it keeps the heat in. And the heat is already in the bread, so you don't need to heat it up. So you're not cooking it in the microwave. I've scared a few of my hosts all the time when I say, can I put it in your microwave? And they go, what are you doing with that? But it does prove really well in there. The alternative is a thermoserver. If you don't have a thermoserver, the thermoservers are fantastic. You get them when you host a cooking class at your house, and I invite 2 friends along. You don't even, it's not It's not based on somebody purchasing a Thermomix. It's just based on you inviting two friends round, learning some new tips and tricks, enjoying the food that we make, playing with the Thermomix, and you get a reward as a thank you. There is a tiering system, so if you do happen to get a sale, you would get one for free. If you don't get a sale, you just get it at reduced price, but you do save $100 on them, so they're actually really good to get. So that's definitely something to think about, is getting yourself a mat. I don't know if they're in the mix shop sale. I haven't checked what items are in the mix shop sale today. But a Thermomix mat like that, like this, a bread proving mat, and also the bread scraper, the green scraper, which I don't have one handy for that either at the minute, I don't think. Oh. No, I don't have one handy. But the green scraper is also really good to actually get the bread off, especially if it's quite sticky. If you're like me and you live in Queensland, and currently I am like very, very sweaty. But the humidity means that the bread it's a lot stickier. So just add 10 or 20 grams of flour to it, and it will just help it to not be as sticky. But the actual scraper, the green scraper, which is a little bit like a half, it's about that big. It just helps to get it up off the silicone mat or off your bench if you're going to do it on your bench. And if you're into sourdough, it's a great one for using for sourdough because you can, what they call, you hook it up with your scraper, and it just gives it a nice soft round top. So that's what I use it for when I'm doing my sourdoughs. So we've got 1 minute left on this one. What we can do at this point is you can preview what's coming up. So I'm going to go back to Honeycomb. And so on our Honeycomb, you can scroll down and it says immediately add around the blades the reserved by carb. So in 3 minutes, we'll be doing that. This one says I'm adding 60 grams of brandy. So I've got my brandy ready to go. Oh, maybe just one for the road. And then we go next, and I'm going to stir with a spatula, and then we're going to place it in the jar, and then that's done. So we might actually be at a bit of a quandary because we're not going to have long between this one finishing and this one finishing. So let's see if I can get it out and get it in the jar fast enough before I have to deal with the honeycomb in the 7, because I can't hang around with the honeycomb. I have to do it straight away. So let's see how we go. We've got 17 seconds to go. So I'll take this off now because I don't need that one now. It's more the releasing of the 6. So the difference again with the 6 and the 7 is that these have these big arms on, so that it's locked on. I can't get it off because I've got to wait for these to release. They've released, so that's good. So I'm just going to add in now our 60 grams of brandy, which oh my God, that smells amazing. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to stir it with the spatula. So I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so it's quite liquidy in there. So I'm just going to, and I need a jam funnel as well. I've got 2 minutes left. So I'm going to have to be quick, very quick. And be quick. Right. I thought I was really organized tonight, but not quite as much as I thought. Now then, let's hope this all fits in. So there's a bit of liquid with it, which is fine because a lot of this dried fruit is actually quite dry. So by the time this soaks up all that lovely juice, it will be amazing. All right. So there we have our homemade mincemeat for our mince pies. So I'm just pushing it underneath the liquid. All right, so that's done. And then I'll pop my lid on. Obviously, that's very hot because it's been at a very hot temperature. So we'll just leave that to cool, and then we'll pop it in the fridge, give it a few days, and it's ready to make some mince pies. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that jug, and we'll go back to the other jug for our pastry. Now, now then, 40 seconds to go, and then we'll be doing our honeycomb. So I'll grab our mat, ready? It's all gone very quiet. back to current step. 15 seconds. It's like waiting. So this is also really good when it's covered in chocolate as well. So it's like crunchy, like literally like, I mean, it's crunchy to crunch, but it's actually crunchy. All right, so we take the lid off. All right, this is very, very hot. And it's very hot. All right, so what we're going to do now is we've got our bicarb. All right, so I'm going to go around the edge. This is where I wish you had a camera from the top. I'm going to go around the edge with the bicarb like that. And then I'm going to I might actually use a little spatula rather than the big one. So I'm just going to mix it around. So it does tell you on here what to do. So it says immediately add it around the blades. Quickly stir. And then we just pour it out the best we can before it hardens, because it hardens really quickly. And you don't want to get all the bubbles out of it. So if I was to smooth it around, for instance, which I could do, but if I smooth this around, then I've got to put my water in there quickly. So I'm just going to leave that on there for a second, carefully. All right, so I'm just going to pop this back on. And we go next. And it says transfer immediately into a prepared cake tin and using the spatula, remove any residue from the edge. So it wants you to get it off the edge just so that it seals, which is easier said than done. Then next, and then we're going to place in the water. So it wants 1 litre of water. There we go. And, 50 grams of vinegar. Whoops, missed that bit. There's making how organised. So just your cleaning vinegar is all you're putting in. So just 50 grams, like that. And then pop your lid on, go next. And then you pop your lid on and you go press play. And now it's just going to clean that itself. Meanwhile, this is going to cool and it's already hardening. So you can see it's very hot, but it just hardens really, really easily. So I'm going to get this off here. I'm going to move this to the side out the way, and then we can start our pastry. So I'll leave this on the bench to go. That in the water. All right, I should be able to pick off here. Look at that little bit of honeycomb there. Ooh, that'll eat. Right, that's doing its thing. We've got 14 minutes left in the oven for the shortbread. We finished a mincemeat, so we'll get rid of that. All right, now we're going to go back to my week, and we're now going to make pastry. All right. So short crust pastry. So it's not puff pastry, but you can make puff pastry as well. And as a child, I was only thinking about this today. My mum used to make her own pastry all the time. And I would never have given it a thought. I've always bought pre-done. So I'm going to give it a shot. All right, so we want 150 grams of plain flour. There we go. Next, 75 grams of unsalted butter. Make sure we get that. So this is where having cold butter really helps when you're making your pastry. Queenslander doesn't always work, so we'll see. Then we've got some salt, so half teaspoon of salt to go in there as well, and 50 grams of chilled water. Let's just do that. There we go. And then next, and then insert your measuring cup into your mixing bowl lid, like so. Next, and then we're just going to do 20 seconds on speed 4. And when you turn your dial, it's just going to go straight to it. Whereas the 7, of course, you press play, and it just does it. So it's a little bit different that way too. A bit more honeycomb. That's good. So the other thing is as well, of course, when we were doing the honeycomb, you know, and you've got 18 minutes or 22 minutes, I think it is, you can do lots of other things. So the Thermomix makes life so much easier because you can actually do other things while it's working. All right, so it's now saying transfer to a bread mat. So I'm just going to go around with the spatula and get the rest of that off. All right, now, when you want to get your dough out, this is a TM7 spatula, but you can, you just give the base a wiggle, all right, until it drops out. Now, on the 6, we used to just give it a wiggle with our hands. With the 7, they've introduced the end of the spatula, so you can pop that on and it saves your fingers because you do catch the pins underneath when you're doing it. So this just drops off, and you don't want to get it you don't want to get it warm. So what you want to do is just, I'm going to get the rest of this off, if I can, like that. All right, now it is quite warm in here, so we've got a little bit left in the bottom, and I hate waste. So I'm going to pop that back in, and I'm going to show you how we get to turbo. So on your TM7, turbo is in your side panel where the cross is. You go to there and you'll see the turbo function. With this, I've got to go to home screen, and then I've got to swipe across, which I call my Tinder screen, swipe it across and then go to turbo. And then just give it a tap and turn. And now everything for that recipe is actually on the side of the bowl now. So if I go back to home screen, all right, I'm going to take this out. It's all around the edge now. So I can now just go around with the spatula quite easily, take it out and pop it onto my little bit of pastry that I've got. Like that. So it's not making a huge amount because it depends, you know, if you're just doing one pie, you don't want to make a ton. But yeah, so we just got this little patch like this. Now what I will do is I'll put that into some cling film and I'll pop that in the fridge, and that will sit in the fridge until I need it. And that's how easy it is to make your own pastry. And then once it's ready, you'll just straight from the fridge, I'll roll it out with some extra flour and make it into our things. So what I'm going to do actually in this instance is I'm going to pop it in a bowl, and I've got these fancy little tops. So I think I might use those actually instead of my cling film. They're like they're a bit like shower caps but for bowls. So you just pop it in like that, and so I can pop that in the fridge, and so that's then covered, so it's not going to go dry in the fridge until I need it. Once my mincemeat is ready in 2 or 3 days, I'll use this because it'll be fine in the fridge for a few days. I'll then use this to make the pastry. Yeah. All right. How long have we got before our, so how are we doing for time? Well, we're actually not doing too badly. I thought we would be a lot longer than we are, so that's pretty good. We are 10 minutes over where we usually are, so we normally try and keep it to half an hour, but I did quite a few little recipes tonight, so I knew it would take a little bit longer. So what we will do when this is finished, so this is still got 7 minutes to go, so we're not going to worry too much about that. But what I want to check is the timer from the top. So it's got 7 minutes before the other recipe is ready. So rather than keep you for 7 minutes, we'll probably leave the class there. I'll post a picture of the shortbread when it's done. Hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've learned something new. It's super easy to cook with your Thermomix, super easy to make staples from mayonnaises to everyday bread, your tomato ketchup, your barbecue sauce, you name it, you can make it in your Thermomix. So if you're ever thinking about buying something in a supermarket, please definitely just have a look on your Cookie Do app and see if there's a recipe for it, because I can guarantee probably 90% there will be a recipe there. And you'll probably already have some of the ingredients in your cupboard. So while you're at the supermarket, rather than picking up that one ingredient, pick up the ingredients that you need and you'll be able to make it several times versus just picking up one jar. Really does make a big difference. If you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and you'll be notified next time I'm live. This is the last class for 2025. So thank you for bearing with us during this year. Hope you've enjoyed the classes so far. We are going to make some changes next year, and hopefully they should be good ones with some extra cameras and things. So let's see what happens there. But otherwise, thank you for watching.